Hello!
Hey everybody! Happy Tuesday and welcome again, as always, to another edition of bitLab Live.
bitLab Live.
Brought to you here by littleBits, based out of our NYC headquarters. By the way, for those who don't know, we just moved into this awesome brand new space over on the West Side Highway. And we are very thankful to have all this wonderful room and a design lab and a beautiful shop where we get to do really cool things like this.
And if you're driving down the highway, wave hello.
Exactly. So for those of you who may be new to littleBits,
littleBits is a library of modular electronics, and they snap together with magnets. So I'll put a little pressure sensor here, I'll put a bar graph there, I'll squeeze the pressure sensor, voila.
you have made a pressure-sensitive light.
Circuits in seconds.
Indeed. And what we are here today to do on bitLab Live, for those of you who may not have seen the show before, is this is our opportunity to talk about the bitLab specifically, as well as sort of the broader outreach programs that we have. So the bitLab is our brand new platform, although it's not so new anymore, a couple months now, where we are asking for the community to actually come up with their own ideas for the next brand new amazing module.
And submit them.
Submit your working prototype, and then once they go up for vote, you collect the necessary number of votes. We go through a review process, and if your module gets green lit, we manufacture it, we sell it, and you get 10%. And then you get this awesome co-branded thing with littleBits. So it's sort of a win-win for everybody. And so one of the things that we always encourage everybody to do is that because this is built upon community, we encourage everybody to please head on over to our website. It's littlebits.cc/bitlab and go vote, because these modules will not move on to the next stage without your guys' support. You are free to vote for as many modules as you like. The voting is open for 45 days per module, and you need 1,000 votes to move on.
So go vote. There's good stuff up there. Check it out. Lend your support.
And I think Paul's going to be or at least showcasing some of the new modules that we just put up to vote in just a few minutes. So if you're curious about, we shall discuss those indeed. So as far as the agenda goes for today, we have a very cool thing that we're going to introduce. But before we do that, we have a ton of updates across the board. As everybody knows in the United States, we are approaching Thanksgiving. We're approaching Black Friday, which is a very important e-commerce and shopping day pretty much throughout the world. We have some other things that we'll be showcasing. As I mentioned, Paul will be showing some of the new modules. And then instead of showcasing a bitLab submission this week, we are starting a brand new segment, and that is Friends of littleBits. And so we have on our show today Ted and Shelby from Tomorrow Lab, which is another hardware startup here in New York City. And at the second half of the show, we will be having a wonderful discussion with them about everything that they do, the great work and designs that they come up with, as well as sort of how they see the future of hardware.
Tomorrow, today.
Tomorrow, today. After that, we will do our usual trivia. We will be announcing the winner from last week's trivia, as well as providing you with this week's trivia, which, hint, hint, has to do with last week's show. And then the winner, of course, will get their name written, etched in the plastic
on Lord Falco's trophy.
Lord Falco. And then you will be the champion of the week. So with that, Paul, why don't you tell us what some of the brand new things that are currently up for vote are?
Surely. So we have another submission from our pal Joe Pet. It is a wireless system that works on multiple channels, so you can connect many modules to many others. So you're not limited to one-to-one, but you can have a whole bunch of different modules talking to one another. So that's a new one up there. So go check that out. Watch the video. Next up, we have the Tilt Bit from the Crated, and so they have a basically accelerometer that will let you know the direction which way you're tilting. There's 3 output bit snaps, So it's an input module that can control 3 different outputs depending on which way you tilt it. So there's a lot of cool applications for that. And lastly, but not least, similar sort of idea here from Jack and Jude, which is the tilt trigger. And so that has 1 output, also a tilt sensing module, but it's using a tilt switch to know whether or not the tilting action is happening. So if any of those modules speaks to you, go to the website, vote for them. They could be a new littleBits module sometime next year.
Sometime next year, that's right.
Could be in your stocking
next year. The 2015 stocking. See, the holiday season can never start too early. We're already talking about next year. Awesome. And so just a reminder, we have sort of a weekly review process that we go through. So whenever new modules get submitted, we just sort of check to make sure everything looks good on our side, and then we put them up for vote. The next up is, of course, Thanksgiving is in 2 days. We had to have Thanksgiving featured projects to show you guys. And if you head on over to our website at littlebits.cc, you will see the Turkey Table Timer, TTT. And the Turkey Table Timer, which you can build yourself, basically is a 5-minute timer countdown. So when you are 5 minutes away from eating your amazing Thanksgiving feast, you can hit the button that sits on the back of the Turkey Table Timer, and then all of your guests will know precisely when to sit down, and at the 5-minute mark, the buzzer will go off, and then you'll see here that the turkey's belly becomes lit up, excuse me, and will say, eat. Everybody come to the table, because as we all know, everybody's going to be distracted and running around and family and craziness, so getting everybody down at the table at one time is a wonderful success. The next project we have up is our super server, our very own DIY Lazy Susan, which is sort of a rotating plate, and you can see some of the guts that live inside and how it gets built with a bunch of branches and timeouts and servo motors and DC motors.
Robo server.
Robo server.
Cranberry sauce not included.
No, that is on you to provide. The other thing that we want to remind people about going on this week as well as next week is that we have been having a whole slew of meetups at Radio Shacks throughout the country. I do personally want to plug, I will be hosting one next week right here in New York City. It is next Tuesday, and we will be sharing the exact time and location out with the greater community, and we'll actually try to provide it here. But this is an opportunity for anybody to come and meet with littleBits staff and get some hands-on experience with the kits themselves, as all of our installations at Radio Shacks are now up. I also want to plug something that is up and coming. So as we mentioned, Black Friday is coming up, but you see, we here at littleBits don't really like Black Friday. We like Purple Friday. And so we are announcing a whole slew of amazing deals and discounts that will go live late Thursday night. So we encourage everybody to please come back late into the hour Thursday night, as we are going to have some very exclusive and limited time only discounts for all of your amazing littleBits related things.
The first ever Purple Friday.
It is the first ever Purple Friday.
If I'm not mistaken.
It's very exciting, and a huge thanks to everybody who helped put this together, because it's a massive undertaking across the board.
You know what Falco's thankful for?
What is Falco thankful for?
Not being a turkey.
That's true. If he was a turkey,
he's a falcon.
He is a falcon, and
he dodged a bullet there, literally. Literally dodged a bullet.
Before we move on to our next and our feature segment with our friends at Tomorrow Lab, I do just want to remind everybody that all previous episodes of bitLab Live are up on our YouTube channel, as you will possibly need that to answer this week's trivia question.
If you ever have trouble sleeping, you know where to find the episodes.
You can listen to us, and we will help Actually, we probably won't help you sleep. We'll excite you. We're exciting. We have lots of awesome news to bring. So, with that, I do want to introduce our friends from Tomorrow Lab. Ted and Shelby are gracious enough to join us from the interwebs. And without further ado, Ted and Shelby.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Live via satellite from New York City also.
From about 15 blocks away.
Exactly. Yeah, 3 in Broadway here. So.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to come and join us. We are big fans of what you guys do, and this is a wonderful opportunity for us to have a great conversation, not only about Tomorrow Lab related things, but about the hardware industry in general. So for those of you who are joining in live or who are watching on YouTube who may not know Tomorrow Lab, Ted, can you sort of give everybody a quick overview of what you guys are all about?
Sure. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, Tomorrow Lab is a product design and engineering company. We actually focus mostly on working with hardware startups. All of the great companies that are getting started in this city are able to have access to our services to develop their new products. We use a really focused and refined prototyping process, really similar to the whole idea behind littleBits, which is to prototype early and prototype often. And with that, then we lead through with industrial design, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and help our customers manufacture their hardware products.
Great. And so what are kind of your go-to tools when you're prototyping?
Yeah, we use a lot of different tools. Sometimes in a meeting, we'll actually pull out littleBits. I have this here. It's actually a really warm day in Manhattan. I was just cooling off Shelby earlier during the break. To demonstrate an idea. There's a lot of connectivity that, of course, we deal with in our projects and in our clients' projects. Discussing that, and showing it live is helpful. As far as other tools, from the electronic side, so I manage the electronic side. Of course, standard breadboarding and good old knitting together of either existing products, tearing them apart, or finding other components that are out there, like from SparkFun, Adafruit, and building that early breadboard to prototype the functions. That's where we usually start.
We do a lot of brainstorming around here too as a group, so we have a lot of research documentation that we share with our clients along with the physical prototypes that they can see and touch. They can hear the story of how we got started and why we built what we built, and then we can tear that down and move on and build the next iteration of each prototype until we get to the finished product.
Very cool, very cool. And is there anything that you guys are kind of working on at the moment that you want to kind of tell folks about?
Sure. So we are working with a really great company here called Hammerhead.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. That is a cool product.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Hammerhead is a it's a navigation device for bicyclists. So it mounts between your handlebars and it gives you turn-by-turn directions. So instead of using your phone, which is sort of a terrible experience and it's not really safe, using Google Maps, at least you think so, this gives you a much better way to find your route. And there's some social tie-ins as well. So we're actually in some later stages with Hammerhead right now. We are in a manufacturing stage. And actually Dean, who's our mechanical engineer here and one of the partners, he'll be headed to China in January to go visit some of the factories along with the Hammerhead folks.
So we're really hands-on, even all the way through manufacturing. So any of your needs, we can handle them.
Excellent. Does that work internationally? I'm just curious. My own personal curiosity about the Hammerhead.
That's a good question. I would believe so. So they developed their own app. So that means that so long as your phone is receiving data internationally, it should work. So you would carry your phone and that device with you.
Mm-hmm. And so you were just working on the hardware, so that you weren't involved with the integration with the app then?
No, they mostly led that, and of course there's some handshaking between the firmware and software and the hardware and all that. So there's definitely some influence there. By the way, one of the guys who had worked on the firmware for Hammerhead is this guy who's named Aditya, and he is starting the first New York City firmware meetup. So this will happen actually here at Tomorrow Lab in January.
Oh, very cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so people who are interested in kind of more advanced programming and programming for microcontrollers, stuff like that, whether you're curious or you're like super advanced, this is the meetup for you. We like to attend as well. I think, Paul, Andrew, we've seen you at the different hardware meetups.
Mm-hmm.
Just, trying to stay tapped in on what's going on and making New York, hopefully a front runner in a lot of the new product technology that's coming out there. So, one way to do that, we believe, is to attend these meetups and really support the community in their efforts.
Very cool. And speaking of new technology, is there anything that's kind of on the cutting edge that you guys are taking a look at? Anything that's really cool that might make an interesting littleBits module for the bitLab?
This is good. Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. Yeah, I had seen the screen, the OLED screen, and the oscillator, sort of pocket oscillator, or oscilloscope that can come from that. I think that's pretty great. Like having tools around that we could sort of snap together. Maybe you have probes and a little display and some other voltage sensing, current sensing, other things like that could make our job prototyping really fun and easy.
We work with a lot of LEDs, so anything light related you'd be interested in.
All right, yeah, we do. We had Philip Verbeek on the show last week. His LED RGB LED strip module is up for vote right now.
Awesome. And we see also a lot of growth in the home automation and sort of smart home market. We are wrapping up working with one group, actually between projects, with this group called Keen Home, and another group here called Astro, who are in the RGA and Techstars Accelerator. They're both creating these amazing smart home products, and you guys just released or are releasing your smart home kit.
Yeah. Yeah. Last week we had Crystal on the show, kind of talking about the smart home kit, which we announced last week. So yeah, we're all very excited about that. More cloud connectivity and things like that integrated into littleBits.
That'll be a great kit for. So the other place that we're tapped into here in New York is the community of accelerators and incubators. So that includes the RGA accelerator that Ted mentioned and the Google 30 Weeks program, which is 17 entrepreneurs trying to put their projects together. They might have a great use of littleBits. And then the New Inc., which is the New Museums Incubator Program.
Yeah.
We're going to do a workshop with them after Thanksgiving to see what they're up to. That's another great group of entrepreneurs throughout New York that are creating hardware and software startups that we want to get involved with. And in addition, we've even been abroad and worked with the Copenhagen Institute of Interactive Design to help their incubator program get offline and keep working with industry partnerships. So anything that we can find in New York that helps us understand where hardware's going and what's trending, we try to get into.
Excellent.
That's great. So we've, I'm hoping that you can leave our viewers with this final thought. So a year from now, what's going to be the big technology that everybody's talking about?
Okay. Well, I think we may all have different answers for that. I know, so the Apple Watch is like a huge anticipated release. We all know it's coming. It may be like the killer of many wearables, or it may actually open up a whole new, like bigger market of wearables. I think, besides home automation, we see the whole risk real estate and the wearable market really, I think it's going to continue to grow as we refine the different, the potential for use cases of these things. I mean, right now we're just looking at fitness stuff, but we could get so specific. You know, things that allow you, like, help when you're cooking, for example, or you know, other medical leaning devices as well.
I think too, the app space will leave software, and we'll find ways to incorporate other objects, whether they're on the wrist, like Ted mentioned, or something else, into a hardware space. So it won't just be a software app that you have on your phone, and that's the only way you interact with it. We think it's going to go somewhere a little more physical.
That's very cool. So with that, Shelby and Ted, I want to thank you both very, very, very much for taking the time and joining us. And hopefully, at some point in the future, I'm sure you guys are incredibly swamped, but we would love to see what your amazing bitLab module might be. So maybe it's a diagnostic tool, maybe it's a wearable, but we're excited to see if there's something that you guys or anybody else can come up with for that matter. So thank you again, and for those of you who want to learn more, we'll be posting some information in the description of the video, or you guys can check out their website at tomorrow-lab.com.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
So,
some parting words.
Some parting words. We do get to announce
trivia.
The winner of last week's trivia. The winner of last week's trivia is Robot_, who said that with the smart home kit, he was going to use a light sensor, some servos, and automatically open and close his curtains. And based upon the amount of sunlight that was in or out of the room, it would sort of dynamically move. And you know, this is actually something that some of our designers were looking to rig up here in our office. And so it was very exciting to see that people were entirely in line with some of the stuff that we were thinking about.
It's a great way to wake up.
It is. It's
naturally under the sun.
I need to sleep in darkness, so maybe that would be a better way. I should actually.
Well,
use
darkness and then the
that's
sun.
I mean. I
You
need
gotta
that
wake up
transition.
somehow.
That's great.
Right.
So this week's trivia relies upon last week's episode. And so if you remember, Philip Verbeek was on demoing his RGB LED strip, which is still up for vote. And when his lights were triggered, there was also a song that was playing. And the question, this week's trivia is, what was the song that Philip's littleBits setup played? And so you can head on over to the forum at discuss.littlebits.cc, and you can provide your answer right there. We will be selecting the winner exactly 1 week from today, when we will be announcing next week's trivia.
I remember what it is, but I'm not going to tell you guys.
We can't tell you.
That would ruin the whole thing.
It would. So, but just a reminder, if you need to go back and look, last week's show is up on our YouTube channel, so you can go ahead there now. And with that, we want to wish everybody who is celebrating Thanksgiving a happy Thanksgiving. And we will see you all next week.